If you're a pretty girl in Memphis, Tennessee, you can't work at a pizza parlor. You can't go outside. You can't walk down the street. You can't get a taxi.
What a load of crap.
The seventh girlfriend to a millionaire. Do all
what a load of absolute crap.
Have a rich
Andrew Tate has completely and utterly lost the plot. He once again appeared on Piers Uncensored in what is his most bizarre, deranged, psychotic, rambling interview yet. Tate spent this entire interview completely irate, screaming about the great replacements theory and how women shouldn't have any rights. He continued his recent theme of spitting everywhere as he screams because his oversized novelty dentures are far too big for his mouth, to the point that he can't even speak properly.
Decisions around that, e.g. judge, should be made by men. Enforcement, e.g. police, should be made by men. And the best prevention, the best cure is to avoid something happening in the first place. Therefore, restrictions should be made by a man who cares about the woman. That is why my daughters have a curfew. Not because I'm a misogynist, not because I want to subjugate them, not because I'm an evil person, because I care about them and I love them and I protect them by keeping them away from possible scenarios. Instead of having trying to run in like
keeping them at home locked
the scenario's
away.
already begun.
Yeah, by keeping them at home.
Just psychotic, deranged stuff. This was one of the biggest humiliations that Andrew Tate has ever suffered, and it was on a global stage. Tate making an absolute fool of himself started immediately when, at the very start of the interview, Piers asked him about he and Tristan's criminal charges in the UK. Of course, Andrew proceeded to spew a bunch of ridiculous, childish lies. I'm not going to spend a long time on these lies, I've covered them in great depth, but let's just quickly address this silliness.
I've not spoken to you since, obviously, a massive development in your life. I need to talk about the elephant in the room off the top. You're facing 10 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm, human trafficking and controlling prostitution for gain, relating to 3 women in the UK. And your brother Tristan faces 11 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm and human trafficking. What is your response to that development in your life?
My response is very simple, Piers. It was the UK Foreign Office that wrote to the Romanians in 2023 and said I was a national security threat because I had too much influence over the young men of the country.
I swear this guy is getting even stupider. Firstly, his story about the UK Foreign Office writing to Romania to get him off the internet and lock him up is just the latest of many groups that he's blamed. As recently as July, he was blaming this on the Jews. But the stupidest thing about this is you may have noticed he said this happened in 2023.
That wrote to the Romanians in 2023.
Yet he and Tristan were arrested for human trafficking in December of 2022 and initially raided in April of 2022. What a bumbling moron.
They told the Romanians to get me off the internet. The Romanians arrested me and, as you know, spent 3 years accusing me of things that were not true. The Romanians threw the entire case out because it's garbage and there never was a case.
It's incredible that he's adamant to continue this lie. For nearly a year now, he has been saying over and over that his case in Romania has been dismissed and thrown out. In case anyone watching this isn't aware, this is a pathetic lie, and both human trafficking cases against the Tates in Romania remain ongoing.
Once the Romanians throw their case out, then the British state brings up some garbage. I'm considered a national security threat to the Matrix, and all they do is lie. You have seen, and we have spoken multiple times throughout this fiasco of what's happened to me in Romania, and I've yet to have a court case or ever be convicted of anything ever.
Jeffrey Epstein and Jimmy Savile have yet to have had a court case or be convicted of anything ever. The idea that just because someone hasn't been convicted yet in an ongoing criminal case means that they are innocent is beyond silly.
This is a deep state operation by the UK Foreign Office trying to stop me from doing the one thing I'm intent on doing, which is saving the British state from themselves.
Will you come back to the United Kingdom to stand trial?
Absolutely. I'm not scared of these people. They're lying and they know they're lying. I beat the Romanian system, sir.
No, you didn't.
You do understand this is the most corrupt country in Europe. You do understand that if there was even 1% truth to any of their accusations, I'd be under the jail.
There's a thing called a trial that happens before someone goes to jail.
The UK Foreign Office specifically wrote to the Romanians and said, get him off the internet. I have the paperwork. The second I'm there in the UK, I'll be sitting with you, unless I'm remanded, with that piece of paper showing you this is a setup from an intelligence agency because I'm considered a national security threat because young men listen to me instead of their propaganda. It is a lie.
The obvious question here is, what is stopping Andrew from posting this supposed paperwork to Twitter? I, for one, would love to see it. Andrew went on to continue making a fool of himself by regurgitating another of his favourite lies, that Romania found no victims.
Who's his victim?
Okay.
Oh, and she never existed.
Okay.
As soon as he deleted WikiLeaks and agreed to their little plea bargain, she was gone. Very much like my victims never existed.
I want to make the point to you.
It is a scam, and you should know better by now.
Okay.
They couldn't even find a victim. It is all invented.
This is so dumb. Obviously, there are victims listed in the Tate's human trafficking cases in Romania. The Tates are suing 2 of them in Florida, which means that Andrew is trying to tell you here that he is suing 2 people that don't exist and are made up. What a clown. Later, in Andrew's deranged rant about the UK, he had the nerve to speak on behalf of the UK taxpayers, despite having over £2 million seized last December because he refused to pay taxes. This blatant hypocrisy was not lost on Piers.
There is a campaign which is designed to demoralize and eradicate you. And there are a few idiots who listen to this campaign and act on it savagely in real time on your public transport systems that you pay for with your taxes.
When you stop shouting.
Let me ask you a question, Pierce.
Well, why don't you just stop shouting for a moment and let me respond?
The majority of taxes to import white people who don't work to replace them? No other race on the planet would commit suicide to this level besides the white man.
Yeah.
And I'm here to encourage the white man to stand up for himself.
Since you mentioned taxes, you could explain why the police had to seize more than £2 million from your brother for failing to pay tax on revenue from your online businesses.
Great way to change subject. Why did the British state try and steal my money? Well, considering the British state, the Foreign Office meddled in a foreign country's prosecution service and wrote them a letter and asked the intelligence services of Romania to get me off the internet. I guess, since I'm a national security threat, all bets are off. Of course they stole my money. Of course they do. They do anything they can to me because they consider me the enemy.
But you avoided paying tax, so you raised the issue of being a taxpayer.
They do.
Well, you raised the issue of being a taxpayer.
They want to get rid of the man who talks about the problem.
All right,
as if the UK doesn't have enough issues.
At some point, you need to stop talking.
Let me ask you a question, sir.
It became more apparent during the course of this interview that Piers was more willing to call out Andrew's garbage than any other time he's had him on. When Andrew tried to tell Piers that he knows he's innocent, Piers was having none of it.
If anybody has any faith left in the British justice system, they need their head checked. All of it's a lie. All of the accusations a lie. All of the media is a lie. It's a scam. And Piers, you know it is. You know I've done nothing wrong.
I don't know that.
Yes, of course you do. Even you.
I don't know.
Even
I don't know. I don't know.
Even you.
I don't know. Just to be clear,
your limited faculty,
listen, Andrew.
Understand very well that I am clearly a target of the system.
Andrew, I know what you say about this. I also believe that everyone's entitled to a fair trial. I believe everyone's innocent till proven guilty. And I believe in the British justice system. If you say you're going to come back and face trial, that seems to me to be the best way for the evidence to be properly examined in a British court of law, and your fate will be determined in that way, as it is for many other people. I don't know.
Believe in the British
I've not been around you in your environment. I don't know. I don't know whether you're innocent or guilty. How would I know?
Well, you do know I'm innocent. I can see it all over your face, Piers.
No, you can't.
Of course I can.
I don't know what you're guilty of or innocent of.
When Andrew started yelling in a rant about how Piers doesn't want to prove him right, Piers says we will see how his credibility fares after his court cases.
You don't want to prove me right, sir. But
I don't have to prove you right or wrong.
Every single time,
people have heard you.
Is nothing but decimation of your decimation of the little bit of legacy you have left, a little bit of credibility that you've retained.
People will watch. Well, we'll see how your credibility fares after your court cases. right? And like I say,
The same as it did in Romania.
like I say,
the same as it did in Romania.
I don't know the
I am innocent. I am the victim of a deep state
I think it's going to be very.
Again, alluding to the childish lie that his case in Romania was dismissed. Andrew went on to bemoan the fact that despite him repeatedly regurgitating the lie that he was arrested for human trafficking in 2022 because the UK Foreign Office wrote to Romania in 2023, Piers hadn't asked him any serious questions about this silly, childish lie.
No, if you were a real journalist, Piers, if you were a real journalist, I just told you that the British Foreign Office wrote to another sovereign nation declaring me a national security threat and asking them to get me off the internet. Don't you think you should have asked a single question about that? How I know it? What proof I have? Is it on paper? Why did they do that? Is that legal? Why were you in jail without charges? 4 years locked in your house, never convicted. You never even went to court. If you were a real journalist, you would have asked me 20 questions. And you know what? I told you that. I told you something breaking. That the British Foreign Office broke international law, just like they did with Julian Assange, and you didn't care because you are an establishment figure. All you are is a figurehead for the Matrix itself. You don't care about the truth ever.
During one of his deranged, screaming, spitting rants, Piers pointed out some more blatant hypocrisy from Andrew when he said the only option for women in Tennessee is to do OnlyFans and porn.
If you're a pretty girl in Memphis, Tennessee, you can't work at a pizza parlor. You can't go outside. You can't walk down the street. You can't get a taxi.
What
Your
a
only
load of
option is
crap.
The seventh girlfriend to a millionaire, do OnlyFans.
What a load of absolute crap.
Have a rich father.
And by the way,
how destroyed our society.
And by the way, how could you?
Our society is so
Sorry.
wrecked, women can't even work jobs anymore.
Forgive
That's
me.
what's so sad about
Okay,
this
stop
poor girl, 'cause
talking.
she was doing the
Stop
right thing.
talking. Forgive me, but irony just died. Are you really lambasting people for doing OnlyFans when you ran a webcam operation?
I didn't lambast. I said that's what they're going to do.
Right.
Because women are not safe to do
But you
anything
literally
else.
paid them to do a similar thing on webcam.
10 years ago, I had a webcam company,
Yeah,
correct.
so you literally
I'm not
did the
saying
same
women
thing.
I'm not anti-OnlyFans.
That's
I'm
how you
explaining
employed
to you
women.
that women cannot work jobs anymore.
Piers again made Andrew look like a complete fool when he, the man who hasn't stepped foot in the UK for years due to human trafficking, rape and prostitution charges, tried to lecture everyone on what has happened to the nightlife in London.
This is why nightlife has died. Women don't go out anymore. You know why London has absolutely no nightlife? What girl
When
in
were
her
you
right
last
mind
out in
on
London?
a Thursday night is going to walk around at 2
When
a.m.
were you
in high
last
heels
out
and
in
a short
London?
skirt? None. The whole city is
When
gone.
were you last out in
America's
London?
the same. People aren't going to meet anymore.
I was
Our
out in
entire
London the other
societies
day.
are gone.
It was
The pub
packed
is
with
gone.
people,
Birth rate's
including
down. Nobody
many
does
women.
anything but sits inside on their phone, and it's because the streets are running with blood.
Really? Well, I was out in London the other day, packed with people having a good time, including many women, most of whom will find your views utterly ridiculous.
Although he hasn't blatantly done egregious propaganda for Tate, like some other podcasters, we have never really seen Piers Morgan push Andrew Tate about his charges and his allegations. It really seems like in this interview he had had enough.
Because it's his ancestors and his land. He has a God-given
If you're
right.
so exercised about England, why don't you come and live here?
Well, I intend on being your prime minister soon, Piers.
Well, you're going to find that quite hard if you're living in
I'll be the
Romania.
prime minister of the UK.
No, but you decided to live in another country. You left the country. You purport to be incredibly concerned about how we spend our taxes, but you yourself didn't pay the taxes that you owed, according to the authorities. That's why they took
According to
$2
the
million.
corrupt
Okay,
authorities,
you denied.
yes.
You deny. I just assume you deny every wrongdoing you've ever been accused of, and you may well be the victim of the greatest miscarriage of justice ever seen in the history of mankind. Or maybe you're just a bullshitter and you are guilty. I don't know.
If I was guilty, why am I not in jail, Piers?
I don't know. We'll see, right? I believe in letting justice do its course, right? But we'll see.
To finish off the interview, Piers seemed determined to make sure Andrew knew exactly what he thought about his dumb, misogynistic takes.
Wrong.
I
Please.
want young men to watch this
Please.
interview. I want them to watch it back several times and understand that actually underpinning your whole shtick is brazen, really damaging misogyny. You are a terrible misogynist, and that is the truth. And you may pretend you're not, even maybe to yourself, But when you talk about the way you want to subjugate women, no vote, no job, no power, but you, Andrew Tate, will take control of them and take charge and protect them. Do me a bloody favour. Why would any
My
woman want
daughter
to do
has
that?
no vote.
Of course, Piers is right. But what I would like to add that I don't think gets talked about enough, and that I think the types of lads that get sucked into the likes of Tate need to understand, is how weak and pathetic Tate's brand of misogyny is. He doesn't want his women to have any communication with friends or family or even leave the house.
She should have no outside influences on any level. When I say she's yours, I mean she's basically you, her family, and your family. That's basically it, right? If she has like a really strong social circle and she really insists on seeing them, they're gonna have a big influence over her. And it is in your best interest to get her away from that social circle.
And he especially doesn't want them to have any contact with other men, because all women are whores. Make no mistake about it, this is nothing but crippling insecurity. If any young lads watching this ever feel like they relate to Tate's philosophy, that all women are dumb whores and need to be controlled, do know that this is 100% a you problem. Other men are in good relationships with good women, and you are not. The sooner you can accept this, the sooner you can start taking some real accountability and work on yourself and get something that Andrew Tate has never had in his life, a real relationship. Thank you for watching this video, as well as subscribing and hitting the notification bell. You can support the production of the content on this channel by joining as a member. As a member, you can get perks like early access to videos and some members-only content coming soon. I'll also leave the link in the description to the crowdfund to support our legal defense against Andrew and Tristan Tate's lawsuit. They are suing me and a number of other individuals on social media because they say our posts on social media cause them severe emotional distress. To read more about the lawsuit or make a donation, you can go to www.truthversustate.com.